Well, as the best men's volleyball teams in the world continue their week-long showdown here in Manila, we are joined by volleyball analyst, the real deal, Neil Flores, to break down the recent games. Neil, how are you doing?
I'm glad I got here on
Finally,
time.
here! Like last time he abandoned us for the Japanese national
Hindi
team.
na siya mangiinggit.
Oo.
Well, mangiinggit pa rin siya. In a way. Pero
That
live
is
na
true.
siyang mangiinggit.
That is true. That is true. So we've seen a lot of great volleyball so far. So let's kind of recap something we touched on just yesterday, actually. The game between Brazil and Italy, with Italy getting that upset in 4 frames. You know, you talk about the rankings, you talk about how sometimes it doesn't really matter, and the results are really unpredictable because of the high skill level of all of these athletes.
Yeah, there were a lot of people saying na it was an upset because Italy were still underdogs.
Yeah.
But for me, if you take a look at their win-loss card in the VNL, hindi naman nalalayo right now. 6-3, they have the same slate. And when you take a look at the Italian roster, especially their first 6, they're a very tall team, and that's what they did. And they got a lot of soft touches from the attackers of Brazil. That's why they ended up winning that in 4 sets. Micheleto had a lot of attacks in. Yuri Roman as well. They were the 1-2 punch that dealt the damage. On the other side, Bruno was actually trying to get their offense going, but the touches, the soft touches was just there for Italy. So it was very easy for them to get these killer blows.
They were out-attacked talking about Italy in terms of the numbers, but that was the only department that they pretty much dominated. I think the big number was the aces, Neil. They served so well. Did they serve so well, or did Brazil receive badly yesterday?
They are heavy servers. You can see the jump servers, meron din float. So it's always a mix. And it gets confusing at times, even at the international level, because when you receive a jump serve, it's very different from a floater. So siguro hindi lang naka-adjust kaagad yung Brazil. That's why there were a lot of broken plays. And again, when you are faced with tall blockers like Italy, medyo didiskarte ka lang talaga. But it didn't happen for Brazil. But again, they're semi-safe in the standings to make it to the next round. But they cannot rest as they need to win tomorrow against Canada.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned the standings. So they're now tied at 6-3 apiece, and the only thing separating them is the point ratio. Just looking at the whole frame of things in terms of the standings and all of this, what did that game mean in general for the prospects for the next round?
Again, this is the final leg. So for the teams in the middle of the pack, wala pang sure na sure talaga. I think the sure team that would go to the next round would still be Japan, which is still undefeated, 100% batting average in all of the games. So for the rest of the teams right now, every game is a must-win. You don't want to be in that lower seeded ranking because at any point in time, pag nagkaroon ng upset sa ibang matches, you can find yourself out of contention.
Yeah.
You mentioned Japan. We'll talk about that in a bit because I want to bring out just one last issue about the Brazil-Italy game that a lot of the commentators were talking about, both local and international, where they were saying that jet lag might have played a factor for Brazil. What was your observation and what did you hear? Anong chismis around MOA yesterday?
Siguro track record, you also see this on social media, yung mga Brazil fans, they always say na pag jet lag yung Brazil, they don't play as well and they're not, hindi rin sila sanay sa change in temperature.
Our weather.
So
Good point.
There's a lot of factors that goes into it, but then again, you cannot question the talent of this Brazilian team. It may be a factor, but it's not a major factor.
Yeah.
Pinag-usapan natin
Yes, yes, we were.
That is part of the VNL challenge in the traveling part
Yeah,
of it.
and everyone plays under the same conditions almost. So, again, we mentioned to talk about Japan. And before I ask the question about why does everyone love them so much, all right, let's just focus first on that Japan game against China, which was a thriller. Rankings-wise, it shouldn't have been close, but the game was.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. Siguro, a lot of people were expecting a 3-set match because of the dominance of Japan, beating the European teams, being 100% every single time. But the Chinese team also exchanged blows. And what stood out for me for China was really their blocking. The great wall of China was built against the Imperial team of Japan. Yes, 17 blocks. And kahit na sabihin natin, Japan showcases a lot of crazy angles at some point. When you are against a strong blocking team, makakakuha at makakakuha sila ng kill blocks. And that showed. But I guess the composure, the experience, the confidence that they had, the second wind, especially in the latter part of that game, was the changer for Japan.
I don't know about you, but I think Japan stuck to the script. You know, the fans were there, packed house. They got 5 full sets, come from behind, parang sinulat
Yeah.
para doon sa mga Japan fans. But okay, but they said in their post interviews, obviously they love the atmosphere, but it also got to them, Neil. They got a little nervous at
Yeah.
the start. Maybe all this support also has gotten to them, not in a bad way, but there is a little bit of pressure on them, right?
It is overwhelming because you can hear the chants of Nippon
Right.
resounding sa Mall of Asia Arena. But yung injection din ng mga second stringers papunta sa lineup, Kento Miyaura
Yeah.
was really on fire in the 4th and 5th set. Konti lang yung time niya compared to the other players on the court, but I think he got 15 points. So that's a big contribution, and he got that final point in the 5th set of that back row attack.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because, again, the question still stands. Why do we love them so much? They are supported as if they were part of our national team. It feels like the support that they have right now, it's something that they have to mention. They're not used to, as referenced a while ago. But then do you see why we connect so much?
Siguro as a neighboring Asian country, yung pagiging undersized ng Japan really resonates with the Philippines because when you go up against the teams from the other continents, medyo you would think na parang David and Goliath yung nangyayari. But with Japan, no matter how tall the team is, they actually find a way to get through the block. They're not afraid in defending these hard hits. And yesterday, makikita natin may mga magic touches pa.
Yun eh.
The
Yeah.
foot save
Yeah.
of Miyaura was incredible. So it's just really the athleticism also of
I
Japan.
agree. You know, so as part of their popularity is their trickery
Yes.
on court, which
Yeah.
Filipinos love. Quick touch on the game that happened today. Not surprised with the results, Netherlands
Yeah.
and Canada, Neil?
Yeah, Netherlands just showed why they're in the top 10. Nimir again, 20 plus points. Clater had also, I think, nasa 20 rin naman, but it's just that Netherlands is also one of the teams to beat here in the VNL. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a game happening later on today is Poland versus Slovenia, and you can catch that on the Pilipinas Live app, which you can download on the Google Play and the Apple Store. Subscriptions at 99 pesos per month, and you can catch the VNL, PBA, PVL, and so much more there as well. Neil, maraming salamat. Really appreciate you. We'll see you at the games,
See you at
and
the
we'll
games.
see you here on the game for more insights on
Thank you so
everything volleyball.